Good morning, listeners.
Is it the morning?
This will be published in the
It'll
morning.
probably go live in the morning. So,
oh, good evening.
You're very considerate of the audience. You know, you're not thinking about how it's evening for us. You're thinking about their mornings.
Just thinking ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got Tanaya, who is our guest for today, but is also only kind of a guest because you're now Rhubarb staff. So,
Hello.
Hooray!
Hooray for me.
yeah, you're helping out Dylan at the cafe now. But more interestingly, you're a musician in your own right, and obviously people would know who you are.
Would they? How many? How many
if they're
of
listening
them?
to the Rhubarb Records podcast, they're probably at least
They
a
listen
little
to
bit
the
aware
Rhubarb
of.
Records Jam Batch.
Yeah, they would know who you are. You were on batch 2,
I think Bells Rappers was on batch 2 and I was on batch 3.
right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So
Bells
Yeah.
Rapids being a previous band of mine.
yeah, so you've played in quite a few. Hey.
Bells Rapids was my first band, and then after that I kept solo, and then after that I joined Ghost Care, which is a band I play bass in.
Yep.
And then after that I joined Peppermint Showers, which is a band I play keys in. So all up, I've officially been in 4 different bands, I would
Yeah.
say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Currently active in
Currently
3.
active in 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Dylan mentioned something before that you've got something coming up.
Yes, personally, my solo stuff under my name, Tanaya Harper, I've got a single coming out in like a month,
Cool.
which is exciting. I'm just dealing with artwork now that hopefully I'll have finished this week
Yeah.
before we start, sending it around the place.
What do you like about artwork? Like what
That's
what
such a
artwork?
broad
you know,
question.
Yeah, that's why I kind of
What, your
started for a
drawings of
second. I was
French
like,
girls?
That was very yeah. It was a very vague question. Maybe I'll start off here. Like, what's some of the your favorite album artwork? Do you like minimalism, or do you like when there's a lot going on, or do you?
I don't usually like portraits. I don't usually like seeing the artist.
Yeah,
I really like
you like a little bit of mystique.
yeah,
about it.
and not necessarily concept either. Like Monsters Inc.
Good
No,
movie.
Gorillas often have like that concept artwork, and I never really bought into concepts. Like you've got the Libertines and the whole like Albion, and they've got their whole idea, and you've got like just all these different bands who have these like worlds within their music, and I don't really like that. I actually just really like basic minimal artwork. Like
Yeah.
the album or the EP that I'm currently dealing with actually kind of looks like Loveless. So
Okay.
there's this bit of me that's like, maybe I shouldn't. And then it doesn't exactly look like Loveless,
Yeah.
my Bloody Valentine album. So I'll probably be all right. But that's very simple, It's more of like a color
texture.
scape. Yeah, it's a texture and a color rather
Yeah.
than like actual shapes and actual like obvious meaning and
Yeah.
statement. Like
Yeah.
I feel like statements are so wishy-washy because like we grow and change in time. So something that
Yeah.
you're saying now probably you won't really relate to anymore in a while. So why like make that such a black and white bit of you and like
Yeah.
something that like defines you for so long? But maybe I've just got commitment issues.
Yeah, or like you could look at it as I do agree. I'm the same. But another way I've recently thought about it is that like the album is a capturing of that moment in the timeline
Yeah.
of that artist,
Yeah.
and not necessarily indicative of who they are. Say if it was an album released 30 years ago, who they are
Yeah.
now. Might be, but
I do like
just-
photos. I really like, I've always
Yeah.
liked PJ Harvey's ability to just like, it seems like it's a photo that she didn't intend to take.
Yeah,
It's just kind of, it happened. And then it was like, oh, what should we use for the album cover? And it's like, hey, I like that picture of you hanging outside of the car door. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just do that.
Wait, have you seen that Kurt Vile album cover where it's him passed out,
Yeah, that's
drunk,
hilarious.
and
Is that
like he's
Smoke Ring? No.
I can't remember the album title, but it's basically he's sitting there and he was at a party and there was a camera going around and all his mates like posed with him on the couch that he
Yeah.
was passed out on, and his manager said, "That's going to be your album cover. That's great."
Yeah.
So, yeah. What's some of your favorite album covers, Dylan?
I don't even know what really is a favorite album cover. You've.
I'm saying speak louder.
Yeah. I don't really know. It's a weird question to sort of what stands out. I mean, I also like photos because you're kind of looking at them. It sort of gives you a little insight into the personality behind the artist.
Yeah.
I like inserts as well.
Yeah.
You know, with even more photos than just the actual cover.
Yeah.
You mean like if a band puts pictures of themselves?
Yeah,
within,
I really like that. Like a bit of a backstory. Maybe it was just when they were
Like a
recording
lyric book
or
type
gigs.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the.
Yeah,
I think that's a cool little touch. It just gives you a bit more entertainment and value out of the album.
makes you feel closer.
Yeah. Something that stands out for some reason is "Standing on the Beach" of Singles with that old man on the cover by The
Yeah.
Cure. I don't know if you know it, but
Yeah,
it's
I've never
just
gotten
like
into
he's
The
just
Cure,
got
but-
such a like a face full of character. It's just like a
Yeah.
really interesting image.
I've
Yeah.
always liked that cover of Blur's self-titled one, the one that's got Beetle Bum on it, and it's like an ER or something. Someone's putting
Ah,
a
yeah, yeah.
gurney through, and then it's blurred.
Yeah.
It's like really.
Did that just click?
It's like it's like long exposure,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of like you get the gist that maybe something really urgent is happening. I don't know. It's just
gone
got a lot of
past you in
mood
a
about
blur.
it. It's got a lot of mood about it.
Yeah.
Again, a photo.
I bought a copy of Floating Points Alania a couple of weeks ago, and it's a very simple cover. It's just white and with like a black sketching kind of thing. It almost looks like like a screenshot of an oscilloscope, but just black. But on the inside, where you pull the record out, the inside of the actual record sleeve, there's a photo in there, and so you can't completely look at it because it's glued shut. But where you pull the record out, if you hold it in light, you can kind of look inside, and it's
That's
a photo of
cheeky.
his setup.
Oh, cool.
Of his like modular synths and all that, which is really cool. But I like the idea of that, like having this little image that they want you to see, but they're making it a little bit difficult for you.
Teasing you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we can pause it here if you want. I don't know where I was going next.
No, that's a
I was
really
just
good
spacing
idea.
out, that's all right.
Actually, I've been dealing with like what I am gonna do with vinyl artwork
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff, and everybody's different. Like a lot of vinyl artworks are just like maybe it was like a money thing or just a choice thing. But so many vinyls are like super bare. It's like just the vinyl and the white piece of paper, and it comes out of the
Yeah.
pocket. And then, but I really want to have like lyrics in there, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna handwrite them, and then I don't know, like fold it up or something like that, just to have it in there because I think that like that's a really integral part of the music in itself.
Yeah.
But some people maybe less so. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like music obviously serves many purposes. I mean, a theory called uses and gratifications theory, and it's basically like 5 dot points. It obviously is a bit more complex, but it can be summarized in terms of why we consume the media that we do. A few of them, this is going back to my uni days, so really scratch my brain here, but one of them is simple entertainment, to be informed, to connect with those around you, so social enhancement, I think is the title for it.
Narcissistic. No.
Yeah. There's a few others, but the main ones are obviously to be informed, simple entertainment, and to connect with the media. That's another one. Sorry, to connect with the character. Sorry, and then there's the other one is connect with those around you. So social
The
enhancement.
character within the song, like
Yeah.
the,
So I like the music that you create is obviously more in line with that point where it's, you know, the lyrics serve as a way for, you know, the audience to connect with you.
yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I guess so. I mean, I don't
There's
really.
obviously,
I don't
like,
really think about the
elements of
audience, to be
everything.
honest. It's
all
not
about
like,
you.
I
Yeah,
wonder
well,
what
that's
they'll be
good.
thinking while I sing this line, you know? Like, because then you'll end up like
Psych yourself
imploding,
out.
yeah, and you won't write a song at all.
Yeah.
So it's just a really interesting thing,
Yeah.
simply for that.
But there's so much music that has, like, Floating Points, for example, there's no lyrics in there. So connecting with the character is
Hard.
hard. There is an element of it there,
Mm-hmm.
and an element of expression there. But synthesizer music and all that has, when I've looked through it with that scope of uses and gratifications theory, for me, I've consumed it a lot to be informed, because I feel like I kind of, each time I listen to a new artist or listen to an album again, I develop a greater understanding of music formation and such. And it's not so much why the media is created, but it's why the person's listening to it.
Yeah.
So it's out of your hands, basically, well, out of the artist's hand. It's the intent of the audience. And you can obviously create media.
I reckon music just makes me feel good. That's like it.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I guess that theory is just segmenting down why it is that you feel good. So
Yeah, it's like if you're, I mean, especially if you're doing something that's mundane, it really fills that gap and just keeps your spirits sort of higher. And then if you're out and you're listening to music, it even raises your sort of, mental state and emotional state higher as well. So as long as you like the music, obviously, like it's nothing worse than for some reason,
something you hate.
Yeah, like that really just grates on you when you're hearing the.
Yeah.
What's an album that's really come at the right time in your life and grabbed you or pulled you away from, something, going down the wrong path or something like that? If that has ever happened to you. Because there's an album in my head, but I want to hear what you guys say first.
I actually really love Pete Doherty's solo album.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called, but
Self-titled?
I'd like to think it's not because he's got such a way with words, but it could be. Oh, English Rose, maybe? I don't know. But The Last English Rose. But I was in San Francisco.
Yep.
Didn't even know why I was there. I just knew I didn't like LA. So I was in San Fran.
Why were you in the US?
Because my dad's friend was working on a film and she offered for me to be like an assistant director of this like indie film. And I got
cool.
there and I like hated LA. I didn't like much of the film.
Oh, so it wasn't
I
too cool in the end.
I was like, this isn't for me. So then someone was like, oh, you might like San Francisco. So I was like, okay. So I get there and then that day I meet this boy and I just had like the best month. And I, because he really liked Baby Shambles and I knew them like a little bit, I went and bought this Pete Doherty album. Doherty.
I think it's Doherty, yeah.
Doherty. How many times can I say it?
I'm going to sample it and remix it.
And
as
I
the
would
intro
like,
music.
because back then I was unmedicated, I was like hugely manic while I was there. And I would just like, on the days that I wasn't going out and having fun, I would like be in the hotel room and just like play this album and Return to Cookie Mountain, the TV on the Radio album, back to back. And I just play them constantly. And like this Pete Doherty one, like blew my mind a little bit. It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
The final song, I think, called Lady Don't Fall Backwards is really beautiful. What about you?
I don't know. Something will probably pop into my head in a few minutes' time, and I'll just interrupt whatever we're talking about and say, "But wait, I've got one, but I can't think of anything right now."
We can rewind.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this will sound super kind of. It'll sound funny, but for me, I was going through a really rough time and a lot of self-inflicted mental kind of, bullshit. But and it was stretched out for such a long time, but King Gizzard's Nonagon Infinity came out, and it was just such an exciting album that I was, at the time feeling pretty low.
Yeah.
But it was such like an upbeat album that I'd put it on and it just make me overjoyed.
Yeah.
And it was very made my day very polarizing in a way, but yeah, and because it's, the gimmick of the album is that it loops and you can put it on loop. I just put it on the car and I just leave it, and it would kind of give me that, that high intensity kind of, thrill. And kind of kept me going. And so I have a very sentimental attachment to that album, even though it's, probably the least sentimental album, that I've gotten, compared to say Lonerism or, I can't think of anything else at the top of my head, but, something, it's not a very introspective album. It's just
it's
rock
just
out
like
with
the
your cock out
reptile,
kind of
it's
music.
just that operator in you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you heard of a band called Mutual Benefit?
No.
There's a beautiful album, and that got me out of a real deep hole.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mutual Benefit and the Kindred Spirits, maybe, I think was the offshoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just, you hear it and you're just like, this is me now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Music.
Dylan, anything coming to you?
There was actually you bought that.
What about
out
what
too.
you said today?
Yeah, Elliott Smith XO. I remember when I first heard that, I just happened to be going through a breakup, and that album was just I don't know, the perfect music for it. So
Yeah.
I just listened to it a lot. And what else?
Every week I buy vinyl, and today I got EXO.
Nice.
Yeah,
Elliott
but
Smith.
that was definitely something I
payday.
connected with.
Yeah.
I put an hour of
From
my
the
work
company
back into the
straight
record
back
store.
into it. You're getting
What
taxed
else?
on that. You should make it like a what do they call it when
It's
like a company pays for your
inspiration
car?
tax. For a musician, it's inspiration tax.
But like how like companies, people who work for big companies like say Rio Tinto and stuff, they'll get like a salary sacrifice. There you go, salary sacrifice. That was the term. They'll get a
Ooh.
car. The company will pay for the car, and it avoids.
Well, I don't know because
doubling
I've
down
never
on
had a
tax.
high-paying job like that. I've got
Yeah,
no
but what
idea.
I'm saying is that
Yeah.
you could get a salary sacrifice for records.
Ooh, but would that fall on the shoulders of Rhubarb? Because if so, then no.
Well, no, because then they don't have to pay the tax of
That
paying you
purchase.
of the transfer. Yeah, it would
Interesting.
just be part of your salary.
Well, Dylan, something to think about.
Yep. Put it in your Excel
Well,
spreadsheet.
vinyls are like an investment for your retirement anyway. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Think about like
Especially King
what's
Gizzard ones.
yeah. The other album, which around the same time sort of struck me, was "Sea Change" by Beck.
Yeah.
That's like a
Yeah.
really moving, like
So moving.
really beautiful album. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had that on in the shop last week.
Yeah.
It just changes the whole atmosphere.
Yeah,
I just love it when music can do that. That's the most important music, in my opinion. Like, not hard, fast stuff, but like stuff like that album that sits
Yeah.
in that plane is so. That's the mutual benefit sound. It sits in that plane of just like, it's like this. I don't know. It's different for everyone, but me personally, that sound is like very special.
Are you telling me you don't sit down to Metallica's Ride the Lightning and have a think about your life and really contemplate?
I
an hour?
hate that kind of music. I hate AC/DC.
Oh,
hate
man.
Kiss.
AC/DC, I
I
was
hate
so
Metallica.
obsessed with as a
I,
kid.
however, do like Slipknot.
Excellent. I think we've talked about Slipknot before.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can put aside the angsty lyrics, the production value, the musicianship
It's amazing.
of
It's
that
really
group
good.
is crazy good.
And Corey Taylor doesn't scream that much, so it's actually very
No,
pleasant
it's-
for anyone
it's
who
g-
would turn off if they were screaming.
Yeah, it bounces. The needle bounces from one end of the dial of clean vocals to screaming.
He still has like melody and pitch when he's like wait and bleed, or is it duality? Yeah, wait and bleed.
lot of them,
The
yeah.
chorus, he's just like yelling.
Yeah.
Oh, in the verses, but at the same, it's not wholly unenjoyable. You're like, oh, this is fun.
First time I growing up, I had friends who were into Slipknot, and I never got into it. But then I saw them at Soundwave, and it rocked my world. I was not even intending to watch them. I was just walking
Yeah.
past, and I ended up staying for that whole set, and it just
next thing
I
you were
just
sitting on
went home
someone's
and I was
shoulders
like-
with your shirt off. Like,
yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
them when they came to Perth and played in one of the smaller kind of like warehouses at the Royal Show, like maybe 10 years ago or more.
Oh, yeah.
12 years
I
ago.
remember hearing about people going to that show and saying that there was people climbing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the-
it was insane. So I went alone because I used to go alone to everything, and I was like this tiny little like 17-year-old or something going to that. And I go there, and like the scaffolding was being scaled by people who look like crazy monkeys, and then like I got pulled out at one point because I was on the barrier, but because I was so small, like everyone was just crushing me to the point of oblivion. Like I had to get out. So
Yeah.
as they pull me out and I like kind of leave the side stage area to go back in through the back, I see all these people sitting side of stage with like holes in their face from their piercings that had been just like totally pulled out. That was when it dawned on me. I was like, oh wow, Marilyn Manson's was super tame. This gig is fucked. Like this is crazy.
I remember years ago I had a job at EB Games, and I
Yeah.
ended up just before I left. They brought this assistant manager in to replace me on my way out. And I forget her name, but she used to be an AMBO kind of attendant. I
Yeah.
don't know if she was a paramedic or anything, or
Yeah.
I don't know where on the scale she was, but she was telling me and my mate who was into Slipknot as well that she used to do attend all the gigs in that
Yeah.
capacity as an
Yeah.
AMBO.
That wouldn't have been a very
First.
smooth volunteer shift.
Oh, and she prided herself on the fact that she pulled Slipknot aside and told them like people are hurting themselves, and she thought she had like a really big impact.
They're
on
like,
them.
we
And-
know.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, this
This
is not
happens
our
every
first
night of our
rodeo.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember her telling me that story, and she was
Good
like,
on her,
and I
though.
told them, and
What an
as she
angel.
should, because like it's
Yeah.
her job to, people shouldn't be getting hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not telling people to
This was
like,
10 years ago though as well. I wonder if it
flip
would
out,
happen
yeah.
now.
yeah, I think Slipknot's fans are getting old. Probably not as much.
Hey, no, but my friend pulled up today outside my house. I opened the door and I'm like, what's this playing? And they were like, and I look and I go, oh, it's Triple J. And they were like, yeah, it's the new Slipknot song. I was
Dude,
like, what?
the new Slipknot is really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I love that
love
this
it.
has turned into a Slipknot fest.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've been hearing a lot of people talking about Slipknot lately, and I didn't realize
They're
they had a
really
new album out,
good.
so.
Yeah, my mate Will, he's the RTR music director.
Just Will Backler.
Will Backler.
Just no one that important to every musician in Perth.
Yeah, him and I always like have a bit of a laugh about Slipknot, and I'm trying to convince him at the moment that the new one is
No,
really
I just
good.
don't think that that's an easy feat to try and get him to spin into a Slipknot fan.
Yeah, he loves his heavy metal, but
Really?
yeah, he
I
started
always
off as a
thought-
heavy metal guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, like because I said the same thing to him once, and he was like, "Bro, do you even know me?" He was like, "I started off as a heavy metal guy," and it makes a lot of sense. Like, a lot of people who get into heavy metal when they're a teenager and they just obsess over heavy
When I
metal,
look
like
at
I
Will-
did. Yeah, and you end up graduating onto other genres as he's done and
Yeah, yeah.
has completed the collection, and thus he
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the RTR music programmer.
When I look at Will,
Built on
all
a-
I hear is washed out. I just hear like
Washed Out is so
Paracosm or
good.
something, just really
Really?
beautiful.
Why
when
is
I look
that?
at Will, I don't know. He just like has this beautiful energy that he emanates.
He's a funny bloke.
But
I
he
love
would
Will.
totally laugh at that. I
Yeah,
think.
he would. I'll link him this
You know
podcast.
that song's like,
app.
uh,
Yeah, that classic
it's
washed out kind
yeah,
of aesthetic.
Yeah. Ba-doo-ka-doo-ka-doo. That song.
Dylan
No
looks
idea
like
what
he
this
has
song
no
is.
idea who washed out is.
I don't know it.
It's
Sorry.
a beautiful. You
It's
should get,
great.
You should get
have
the
you ever
recording.
have you ever watched Portlandia?
Yeah.
The,
It's that
theme
theme
music
song.
is
Ah,
washed out.
okay.
Yeah.
But you would know Paracosm. It would have played once somewhere, and you would have been like, "Oh, this sounds old. Like it might be Moby." And then you're like, "Wait a minute, it's not as old as Moby. It's more recent."
Yeah.
Anyway.
Have you ever? So, are you a Moby fan?
My mum played a lot of that era music, like just the pop of the 90s in the house.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I just like songwriting, because I was surrounded by pop, and it was good pop because it was the 90s.
Yeah.
So biased. But yeah, so Moby played in the house like a lot. I remember that. I'm gonna find you, baby. Woo! That song. I just remember that so vividly all the time playing in the house.
Oh, Liam has rocked up for the next episode.
Yeehaw.
The little industry insider secret is that we
Muchacho,
actually
Did you
record
listen
these
to Moby?
fortnightly.
Were you living in
Yeah,
England when
Mo-
Moby was a...
No, I
big
was
thing?
living in.
'Cause Moby's
that was,
English,
That
right?
was end of '90s and start of 2000s. Play came out. That album
Yeah.
was massive. It was like I think it was even a double CD, and it was just one massive hit after another. It was such a really successful album.
Yeah.
I've got it on vinyl now, and yeah, it's really good. He sampled a lot of stuff that was outside of copyright, I think. So
Right.
it's got all that really cool vintage sound
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
Um,
Like Mark Ronson,
Yeah.
except it was the 90s.
What? So
I'm pretty sure. Because I saw a TED Talk the other day, and Mark Ronson showed the audience how to sample.
Oh
And
yeah,
he grabbed
is that
a
the one who's got
really
the
old-
MPC on stage?
I
and
think
he's-
so, yeah. And he took a really old sample
Yeah,
and showed them, and that was pretty cool.
yeah. An MPC, like the MPC, is an instrument unto itself.
Yeah.
Like it's a very unique bit of gear, very iconic as well. What's some of the music you grew up listening to? Then I'm talking like your kind of formative years when you first started paying attention to music. So I don't know, maybe when you were like 8 or 9 or
think
10, or what were those?
As soon as I
early
was
sounds?
starting to sit up late and watch Rage was when I first started paying attention to music.
Yeah.
Outside. Oh, obviously we had Triple J, which was good back then.
Yep.
And then I think just sitting up watching Rage until early hours of the morning, just
It was the
watching
opposite.
one
I
more
woke
song,
up
one more
early
song.
and watched it, but
Oh,
you
did
stayed up late.
Yeah, I'm a night owl. I wouldn't
Ah.
get up in the morning to watch that. Although we used to get up and watch Recovery. That was a good show. I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever saw.
No, I only
I've
watched.
seen
I
Rose
only
of
watched
Recovery.
Sailor Moon at those hours.
Yeah, Cheese TV.
Yeah, I remember Cheese TV.
Yeah.
Just typical like grunge alternative stuff, and I liked a lot of sort of, the punk and sort of new wave and sort of 80s alternative stuff as well, which
Yeah.
was only which I was actually like a kid when that was around, but it seemed like so long ago.
Yeah.
Even like in the early 90s. So I was kind of like discovering what was coming out new, and then I had this nice little back catalogue to explore that was cool. So
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
I touched on it on the last episode we did with Zach Duggan a bit. For me, when I first started paying attention to music was when Mum would put music on, and I'd be, you know, probably in the lounge with Lego on the carpet and
Yeah.
you know, building stuff, and there was a lot of like Michael Jackson, Fleetwood Mac, a lot of that kind of era of sound. My dad used to play a lot of Midnight Oil.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Midnight
Like
Oil
every
cassettes.
Australian child.
Yeah.
One of our formative bands.
Yeah. I, you know, as I was a teenager and really getting into music, I resisted Midnight Oil, and then as I kind of got over my teen angst, I was like, oh shit, Dad was right. They are good.
yeah. If only we'd listened to Peter Garrett in the 80s, we wouldn't have all these problems we got right now.
Yeah.
With like, you know, he had the right idea a long time ago.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know,
I really like
climate
10 to
change
1. That's a really good album. I don't know why, but I forget the track name. I think it's like the second track or something. It always makes me think of Crash Bandicoot. Because when I used to be massive into Crash Bandicoot when I was a kid, and then Dad would play that song and it would kind of sound like the soundtrack to Crash Bandicoot. And so now whenever that album plays, as soon as that song kicks in, it's got a very like jungle kind of beat to it. I always just think of Crash Bandicoot, and it's stuck in my head for the whole 4 minutes or so of the track going on. So, yeah.
I can't say I know the song from memory, but if I heard it, I
Yeah.
think I'd know it.
Power and the Passion. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah.
Just when I think of Midnight Oil, I think of like this Sky show. Like, you know, they always play like heaps of Midnight Oil every time there's a Sky show on, so it's very
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Australia Day.
Yeah, Australia Day, yeah.
Do you reckon the Australia Day Skyworks show has declined in popularity since, you know, radio's declined in popularity a bit? Because I remember like a big part of their campaigning would be that mix 94.5, because it's what Mum
Like
would
the
play in
mix
car.
of the songs.
Well, no, they would like hype it up for like a month. They'd be like 28 days to the Australia Lottery West Sky Show, Australia Day.
Are you the guy who does the ads? That's the
me.
voice.
That's me.
He's an understudy.
Yeah. I used to work at JB Hi-Fi, and we'd kind of like try and outdo each other with our radio voices on days
When
where
you
we're
go
bored. On the
intercom.
PA.
Yeah.
And we'd try and just like, you know, outdo each other.
I
So
can't
developed a lot of my radio
really talk
voice there.
about the popularity of the Skyworks because I haven't been for like 10 years.
Exactly my point.
So, yeah, but it's not to do with the fireworks or the abhorrent mix of music, but more just crowds. Like, I just remember it being so hectic one year that I stopped going.
I remember
So,
seeing photos of like people
contrary.
just off chops and, you know, urinating on police cars and
Yeah, because
you know,
like
getting
if
into
you're
all
like
sorts of trouble.
if you're a, you know, young something who wants to get messed up, you're not thinking about the kids that are going to this big event in the city.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries.
There was a time period where it was very, very not family friendly.
Yeah, totally.
And it was just another reason to get messed
I think
up.
that's why the parents always wanted the fireworks to start earlier, because like the kids were staying up till like 9 or 10, and by that point like it's adult world, you know. But if they happen like at sunset, then the kids can go home.
Yeah.
I don't
Get
know.
home and-
Maybe that was fake. Maybe I made that up.
Well, they do that on New Year's Day, on New Year's Eve, sorry, because New Year's just been, I was looking at the fireworks like roster, because you can go on there's a government site where you can go on and it's got a list of every scheduled firework event in WA.
Oh wow.
You know, because they
That's
have to put
handy.
it up for safety reasons and all that. It's, you know,
Yeah.
but you can use it as a list to identify if you're, you know, a bit of a fireworks fan. You can go find some fireworks. But
Yeah.
I had a look because my girlfriend lives quite close to the beach, and we wanted to suss out if there was going to be one there. And we're looking, and there was heaps of them that at 8 p.m. and they're all like near, kind of like family kind of, you know,
Areas,
orientated
yeah.
areas. So yeah, I think they do that, and then the parents
Yeah.
just go, "Oh, it's midnight," and then, you know, they head
Then
off home,
there's
put them to bed.
another round.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there was a bit of a pause there because Dylan was kind enough to offer Liam a beer.
Hello, Liam. We finally meet.
Did you want to sit in for a bit, Liam? You want to join me? We can share this mic.
Yeah. By the way, how come you get the mic stand? I just,
Because I've got to
this is
operate the
He's
equipment.
got many important things to
okay.
do with his hands.
All right.
You run this podcast and you get the tripod, Dylan.
If you set it up, you can get all the good stuff.
I'm going to unplug my mic for a sec.
We can just take a little pause here. That's fine.
So, Liam, I want to know what your formative years of music listening were when you're playing Lego on the carpet and in the lounge room, and your
That's what
mum's,
it's
become. Put music on for the day.
Hold on, what's the age difference?
13 years.
13
13.
years. Wow. Okay, beautiful.
Pretty decent gap. So I mean, our mum's definitely got a lot to do with Dylan and I's enjoyment of music. She was really into a lot of Motown, so Otis Redding and
Oh, cool.
Aretha Franklin, all that sort of stuff. And also The Cure. I remember The Cure being a massive part of. There's always The Cure playing. Bands like the Rolling Stones, she's massively into that. David Bowie, so all of that British Invasion stuff, I was pretty much introduced to by her. And then I suppose when I was old enough to kind of start discovering music for myself, it was kind of like what Dylan was saying. I was taping Rage, so I had to go to bed early, so because I was young, taking the VCR and hit record, go to bed, and then wake up in the morning and see what I captured. So.
Oh, wow.
So I discovered Pavement and Built to Spill and tons of 90s old bands and stuff that I still love to this day. So
This could have been the death of Bunny Munro, but I swear the only thing I remember from Rage is spinning around Kylie Minogue and her little shorts. I swear that's all I remember
I
from
definitely
Rage.
remember those.
And maybe
I think we touched
and
upon
maybe
that
Wannabe.
in the last podcast.
Maybe Wannabe, Spice Girls, and maybe Just a Girl. No doubt, but that's about it.
I remember when I was a little kid and first getting into the radio, Spice Girls were the pop hit. And,
Hell yeah.
And I got into Spice Girls when I was 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
old on the radio, because it's this catchy tunes. It's
Which one were you?
exploitative of your neural pathways.
Yeah.
They just, hooking right in and give us your money. I didn't get into Spice culture. I
Yes.
just was about the music, man.
I was Baby Spice.
And I remember the most embarrassing moment I had as a child was when I was dancing to it in my room to the radio on next to my bed, and Dad walked in and I'm singing whatever Spice Girls song, and Dad was like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Stop right now.
Stop right now.
I'm pretty sure that was the song. I just remember being Spice Girls.
Stop
and he's
right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And he was like, "Mate, if you like Spice Girls, that's all right." And I was like, "No."
That's when you had the Spice Girls conversation with you.
Yeah. That's it.
That's
But
funny.
yeah.
They were amazing.
Spice Girls. That's
What a
another one for the
force.
list. Yeah.
Are they not touring at the moment?
Yeah, they were in the UK, and I think the tour
Depends
is
how
over
you want to
now.
look at it. Are they touring live or are they
No, live.
just yeah, how you want to look at it. They're there, but are they?
Oh, are you trying to suggest they're holograms or
No, they are.
sort of 2-pack style?
Are we inside a snow globe?
Pretty sure they got done for lip syncing.
Oh,
That
well, I
wouldn't
mean,
surprise
yeah, I
me,
wouldn't be
but
surprised by
I
that.
mean,
So is it live then? They're there. They might as well sit in the crowd and just watch as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
They probably enjoy
I
it.
don't think anyone ever listened to the Spice Girls because of their
no,
live
their
vocals.
voices are banging.
It-
Nah,
yeah,
they're
you
banging
reckon?
on the albums.
Are
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah, studio recording.
Sporty
I'm
Spice
sure.
is definitely
Exactly.
got a
They can
pretty
just ninja
unique voice.
it and chop
Yeah.
and change and pick the best
Mm.
word.
But
Best take.
no, I read something popped up on my Facebook feed about people perhaps petitioning to get them to play at Optus Stadium.
Yeah, of course.
Which
They would sell
would
that
probably-
shit out so quickly.
Oh, if they can get Metallica and Slipknot at Optus Stadium, I think they can get the Spice Girls.
Yeah,
There's as
absolutely.
many thrash metal heads there are in Perth, there would be as many
I'm
people
still
who'd go for the
surprised.
nostalgia.
I'm still surprised that Billie Eilish played the Fremantle Arts Centre and not Optus Stadium, because that sold out 6 months before she played. She played about a month or two ago here at Fremantle Arts Centre. That gig sold out about 6 months before the gig. Had she have played Optus, she still would have sold out, but it just would have taken maybe a month longer.
All right. Let's play
Right
let's
here.
play some
Yeah.
copyright infringement and steal Pitchfork's segment overrated underrated.
Yes.
Billie Eilish overrated underrated Tanaya.
Rated.
Overrated or underrated?
She's just rated, you know, like it's just a neutral. She's good at what she does. I don't think she's underrated, and I don't think she's overrated.
Yeah,
And
you think her popularity is about?
See, I could never
par
play
with-
this game because I always think, oh my god, these people, they're probably holding their tongues hell bad. Like they don't want to be like, next thing they know, like, and Billie Eilish doesn't like Katy Perry, and then you've got the next Katy Perry
some
saga
clickbait
happening. You know,
shit comes
like
out of it. Yeah.
I think that
So you're a nice democratic neutral.
I'm a Libra. I pride myself on being balanced. I did
Musical
see
chakras aligned.
I saw Rosalia at Primavera this year. She's a Spanish pop star, and she's got a very soft, beautiful tone. And my Perth friend and I were both standing there, and I was like, she's amazing. Like, I heard her before I'd heard Billie Eilish, and she's beautiful. And then she goes, she's just like the Spanish Billie Eilish. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like,
Has she got the SoundCloud rapper aesthetic?
It's
Like
just
Billie Eilish? Because I feel like
it's that whisper, it's that ASMR thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like right up in there, you know, it's
Yeah.
like right there.
Like, because a part of Billie Eilish's popularity is the
rise
cult
to
of
fame.
personality, and you know,
Yeah.
it's just as much about her as it is the music. I almost feel like in terms
See,
of.
I didn't see any of these videos,
If we
you
use
know?
uses and gratifications theory, it would be connecting with the character. Would be Billie
I
Eilish's
heard that that's how
stronger-
she got famous, but I never saw any of that stuff.
Oh, just all of a sudden there was this famous person named Billie Eilish.
But she'd
and I was
actually
like,
been
"What?"
building up for years, and like she had like an Instagram account and everything, like that was going crazy.
How involved is her brother in actually making her music? Because I hear a
Totally.
lot of talk about.
Yeah, he
That's
produces
what
it.
I heard. He produces all the tracks. Is that right? Or
Yeah, that's right. And she comes up with the
she writes
lyrics and the melodies. Probably.
So they're kind of like they're sort of like a
They're
duo.
a duo.
It's like it's like Elton and that guy who writes the lyrics. Except it's the other way around. What's his
Who
name?
knows, really though?
Elton John.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I feel
No, it
like we're
wasn't-
those obnoxious people who don't know what we're talking about, but casting vast opinions.
Oh no, I'm not projecting an opinion. No, I was just.
Billie Eilish, overrated, underrated.
I don't know anything about Billie Eilish beyond the memes.
Beyond the memes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any memes.
It's been and gone now.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, there was like a whole fad where
Yeah.
she was just it was like that video clip where they were riding tricycles down the road, and
Yeah.
it was like a
that's
really
bad
lame
guy.
meme. But that's literally all I know. I've heard that one song, and I heard that like she clubs with her brother, but her brother kind of just does stuff behind the scenes. That's literally all I know
I
about
think
her.
what I really like about her is that she's like the anti, like expectation of a woman. You know, like she's, you know, she's a good role model.
I do dig that about her.
She's a good role model. Like if
I
I,
think
had
so
like
too, yeah.
like my little sister is 9 and she loves her, and she's not like twerking and she's not like showing all her flesh, and
you know,
people can do that if they want. But I'm
She
really
expresses
happy
her-
that my 9-year-old sister is not like, you know, gonna dress like someone with all that kind of flesh exposed, and would rather be like, yeah, I'm gonna be a tomboy.
yeah.
'Cause, you know, you're allowed to do that. I really don't like her fashion. I'm not into that whole like hip hop thing,
Yeah, the
but
SoundCloud
she
rapper
pulls it off
aesthetic.
really well. She pulls it off.
Yeah, I got nothing against her. I actually, you know, the more I think about it, the more I think she is just rated. You know,
She's
it's
rated.
proportional. You know,
Yeah, it's
I think she's
proportionate.
good. I like that. You know, at least it's not ghost producing where they try to, you know, say, oh yeah, this person wrote it. Like Ed Sheeran,
Yeah.
I believe he's kind of been, you know, the finger's been pointed at him for ghost producing. At least they're like, you know, upfront about it. Like, yeah, the brother does it. You know, it's not, they're not trying to hide anything, and you know, they make it clear.
Certainly hasn't affected her popularity in any way. So
No, it definitely hasn't.
And the thing is, like that production as well, it is so basic. You know that guy online who does
Seth Everman.
he does like all the reviews, like nearly every day he'll put up like a review.
Oh, Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, and
Needle
he
Drop.
did one where he broke down was it Bad Guy or was it another one? No, it was Bury a Friend. That track that
It's a
came out a
very
few months
basic
back.
song. I was watching that last night actually because I watched a bit of Tame Impala's Glastonbury set, and
Yeah.
in the recommended was the next one, or the next in the playlist or whatever it was Billie Eilish's set from the same
Yeah.
day, and yeah, it was the Bury a Friend, and I was like, man, that's such like a soft song. Like, how can you hype a crowd up to
It's
that?
so
But she
good.
managed to do it. Like, she got really into it, and she's like jumping up and down. But yeah, she's singing like this, and you know, it was very
Yeah.
weird.
Well, he broke down, I think it was Bad Guy because it's a simpler song. He just broke it down. He was like, okay, the chord progression is like 1-3-5. Like it's really easy. And the production is so minimal. Like it's just like, but like somehow they've just nailed it. They've absolutely nailed it.
It's like the Axis of Awesome song. You remember Axis of Awesome? They were like mid 2000s. It was
Is
the
that
band
like
of,
LMFAO? Was
no,
it like them?
it was kind of like a. Do you remember Ronnie John's Half Hour? One of the guys on that was the singer of the Axis of Awesome, and they were kind of just like a kind of parody kind of band, like Tripod off Skit House and all that.
Yeah.
And they had a song called Four Chords, and the song used the same four chords and was about how all these massive songs used four chords, and they would go through. It was like a melody.
It's that video, like the 20-minute video that they just like fly through it.
Yeah,
and they just like play them on the spot.
Yeah.
Chord progression. It's just it's a pentatonic thing.
Yeah.
And you can basically take the template and alter the key,
Move it
and
around,
place
yeah.
it on a whole host of top 40 songs, and you'll find the exact same chord progression, and it's been happening for years and years.
These 4 Rhubarb employees figured out the secrets to pop music. Yeah. Producers hate them.
I've been wondering as well, because like ASMR has opened up a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
And you wonder, or I've wondered anyway, how much ASMR has kind of being utilized in like top 40 music. Like subtly though, like almost.
Well,
like,
you know what? It's really interesting because when I was recording Some Kinds, the guy who recorded it, Nick McKenzie, when we were talking about the mic and what sound I wanted, I was like, oh, maybe we should get a one of those.
Like a dampener or something.
Like maybe we should get one of those little, the cushion that goes over the mic.
The foam thing.
Yeah, the foam thing. Yeah, sure.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I don't know. They're pop filters. Sorry, the
Yeah, the fairy one. He was like, oh, we should get one of those for the recording, or do you want to do it without? And I was like, well, I guess we've got to do it with it, right? He was like, well, not necessarily. It just depends what sound you want. And then he was like, if we do it without, you'll get all the sounds of the mouth, but that's really popular at the moment in pop music. And I was like, really? And I didn't get it. And then like 2 years later, after recording it, it is. Like now I hear it everywhere, and I'm like, oh, you can actually hear the movement of a mouth.
Yeah.
In recordings now. It's not like they're trying to hide that, where they would go through and probably chop it on Audacity. They'd do it on something a lot more complex. But they would be like, and now I hear the mouth open or it's gone.
Yeah. I was talking about this with my girlfriend the other day. Was when on albums where you can hear the fingers running up the strings of the guitar.
Some people love it, some people hate it.
I've got a little bit of synesthesia where if I hear something brushing up against steel, I'll taste steel in my mouth.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's awful. It's not good. And one of the tracks that does it for me is one of Blink-182's one. I miss you.
Yeah.
Is that the title of it?
Yeah, it would be that song.
You can hear as they're playing it and moving up the neck of the guitar, you can hear the fingers running up the strings, and it just triggers something in me, and I just taste metal in my mouth.
That happened when I was a kid. There was this song by TLC, I think. It was called So Beautiful or You're Beautiful. And the version that was on Rage and was all over the place was the acoustic live version. And so there was a guy playing an acoustic, and because of the nature of an acoustic, you could just like hear everything that was happening. And I remember going to Mum, I don't like it. Why is that sound happening so much? And she was like, it's because he's playing a guitar. And I was like, no, but it doesn't sound like that on the other version of it. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like hearing the guitar making all of its like guitar sounds.
I think it adds a bit of a rhythmic quality as well. It's like another,
Totally.
because acoustics are very percussive, and it's just like another element of like of that like percussiveness, I guess. But yeah, I can totally understand. It's kind of like, it's not quite like nails on a chalkboard, but it's definitely one of those sounds that's quite piercing, and you can either get into it or not.
There was actually a big moment where I had to decide whether this little bit that happened on my electric guitar in a song.
Like feedback.
Yeah, it wasn't even feedback. I was just like, I clipped a string in this song that's yet to come out. And there was that moment with the producer. I was working with Dave Park, and it was like, okay, do we keep it or do we get rid of it? And I was like, oh no, get rid of it. Like you can hear it once you've heard it once, you can't forget it. And he was like, oh, I really like it.
Yeah.
So I've kept it because I respect him. And yeah, let's just see if, you know, my career goes downhill from here.
Look, you can send me the WAV and I'll listen to it. If I taste metal in my mouth, I'll let you know.
I think
you can take
you
that.
might, like, your
for a
blood
little
might
bit of
boil.
What was that?
Your blood might boil.
But to the average listener, it will literally just be like, it'll be like almost what's the word I'm looking for, like a subconscious kind of thing where like it's your creation and your song, so you're gonna be like listening for it, and
It just gives that much more
it'll
soul
stick out
as
more
well.
to you.
Yeah, totally.
But,
Somebody else might not notice it at all.
Yeah, but well, they might not notice it, but it'll still affect their overall impression of the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always love, you know, hearing things like that and feedback in, you know, in music recordings, and that just kind of adds a whole element of just realism, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why we kept it.
That's why audiophiles spend so much on high-end cartridges, so they can hear all those little details that you don't notice on a normal.
So they can hear the low quality leads that
Or
are
they can just
plugging
hear
their guitars
the
with.
drumstick tapping a little bit, like, you know, on the rim of the drums. or
Ringo's here.
Yeah, or that little breath that people take before they sing, and just those little details. which-
Yeah, rather than I don't breathe ever, but I sing.
It's that classic YouTube viral video, Chocolate Rain. And the guy pulls his mouth away from the mic, and he puts the subtitle, I pull away from the mic to avoid hearing me breathing, or to breathe in, or whatever he says. Yeah. Chocolate Rain. I was actually having this conversation at RTR the other day when I was editing a video there with Terry, and Will was in the room as well, actually, I think. And we were talking about this, and we YouTubed him. He's still pumping out YouTube videos.
Really?
Yeah.
I should follow his channel. I bet he's come a long way in like 10 or 12 years. It must have been that long.
Yeah, something it would have been like 2008 or something like that. Yeah, at least 10.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure
remember.
he's recorded a lot more gems. He kind of reminds me of that dude from Tim and Eric, the guy that Dylan.
David Lee Hart.
So here he's got those kind of vibes. Like Dylan nearly actually managed to.
Dave Lieberhart.
David Lieberhart. Yeah.
A friend of mine actually had him stay with him. Do you know who Dave Lieberhart is?
Maybe by face.
He's like this
He's
real
a ventriloquist.
I'm so bad with
Yeah,
names.
He's a ventriloquist musician.
Okay.
very eccentric.
Have you ever
guy.
watched Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job?
Mm.
You know the guy that does the songs, and it's like usually like it's kind of like a parody on like kids sing along songs, and he's got like a weird puppet with him.
Yeah.
He believes
That
in
guy.
aliens. He's
Okay.
got conspiracy theories. He ties his beliefs in aliens in with religion.
He's a high functioning crackpot, basically.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it.
But
But
if-
he's like got like an amazing creative streak.
Yeah.
An amazing, and apparently a very big heart too. He's very, very lovely guy.
I thought you
Apparently.
said car. I was like, so?
A car. he drives a
And apparently a
Pajero.
very big car. Why? Why do I care about that?
Fit all the ventriloquist dummies in there. You know?
But yeah, a friend of mine actually had him stay with him while he was on tour in Australia, and made a really cool YouTube documentary called Lieb Boobs. If anyone listening wants to
I'll link
open
it in
up
the
another
description
window
on the YouTube video,
on
yeah.
YouTube and have a look at that, it's really good.
That masters the Rhubarb jams.
Yeah. Michael Graham. Yeah,
There you
so
go.
he's done the vinyl mastering for all of the Rhubarb jams and also several of our album releases. So he's very talented guy.
So what that makes 2 degrees of separate 2 degrees of separation between Rhubarb and Tim and Eric Awesome Show.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Oh, 3. Sorry, 3. Yeah,
Cool.
2 or 3. One of the 2 or 3.
It's our claim to fame.
Yep, exactly.
How long has this podcast been going for?
We're now clocked in at 49:30. Yeah, as I said before, a little industry secret. While we release weekly, we actually record fortnightly. So we're just waiting on the next guest to rock up. So
We should mention our sponsor while we're waiting.
yes, so Dylan, I'll let you announce that.
This podcast is sponsored by Billy Black's Barbering Experience. Billy Black's is right down the back of Rhubarb Records Vinyl Cafe, and he sponsored
Gives
us.
a
He gives a mean cut. He'll
Mean cut.
he'll fix your follicles, lower your ears, and chop your mops.
excellent. And
Give
yeah,
you a nice steam towel at the end.
Yes.
we're also offering sponsorship opportunities for the podcast too. So reach out if you want to, you know, associate your brand name with our ramblings.
You two could have an announcement of that quality
Yeah.
for your brand.
And we enjoy drinking beer during the podcast, so just
If there's any
Beer sponsors.
breweries. Yep, beer sponsors.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Another loosey-goosey episode. I think it was really cool. Getting all the staff sitting down at once worked out in the end.
That was actually, that's the point where this is the we are
Is this the team?
This is
Karen's
Rhubarb.
also
team.
Oh, of course,
well, she doesn't work in the stores except for when we've got events and stuff. But
Yeah.
so
an integral
Well,
Karen
part
is
of
our
Rhubarb.
events manager.
yeah, and we'll get Karen in on a podcast at some point.
Yeah,
So.
she's got a lot of music knowledge. She imparted a lot of her music wisdom on me many a times. So yeah, definitely
We'll have to work
need to
on that.
record it. Yeah, Liam, have you got anything you want to say?
I hope everyone's enjoyed our staff meeting. No, just
Next on the agenda.
Many
Sorry, Tanaya, we don't have any hours
Many
left for you.
logistics dealt with.
that's it. No, it's just pretty much looking forward to getting the next guest on and
Who is the
hopefully
next
continuing
guest?
this. Next guest
Luke
is
Parrish.
Yeah, so this will be an announcement for next week's podcast. So the next week's podcast is with, as Dylan just said, Luke Parrish from Psychedelic Porn Crumpets.
Oh, cool.
And he's also just about to finish mixing his solo album, but I'll let him talk about that, and I'll let that. I've heard it; it's really damn good, but I don't want
Behind
to
the
say anything
scenes.
because I want people to come back next week. So, yes, that'll be the next episode, as Dr. Dre and Snoop like to say. So we'll leave it there. I think Tanaya, anything you want to say? What do you got to plug? What's coming out? Any events? Any singles?
Well,
you did
Bells
mention there was a
Rapids
single.
is a band that I was in a few years ago, and we're going to have our EP coming out in about 3 weeks.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we
Is there a
recorded
launch
some.
party?
No. Because we're just all in different parts of the world from each other, so we're just going to
Slap it
finally
on
put it out
Spotify.
there. Yeah, Spotify, Bandcamp, iTunes, maybe. I'm not sure how keen I am on that.
Yeah.
And RTR are going to premiere it.
Woo!
Which is cool. So yeah, that's exciting, and because we've had the recordings for like 2 years, and really just
So you
very
sat on
keen
it.
to push it on,
Yeah.
sail off into the night.
Yeah. So is Bells Rapids still a thing, or is this kind of like a parting gift to the
Yeah,
world?
this is like a parting gift, a hello goodbye.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'll be great because there are some songs, or at least one song on that EP that I adore, but was like just so gutted that I wasn't able to release and share.
Yeah.
So this is like finally one of my favorite songs I ever wrote I get to put out. First single for my EP, it's called Crash Pad, will be out late August.
Great.
And then the second single will be out, I think, late September. And then the EP will drop at the very beginning of November.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having
thank
me.
you.
Goodbye.